about the way that reptiles, prehistoric reptiles, swam or moved in the sea? Because they're not fish, are they?
No, no, they're not fish. They're reptiles. They've got 4 paddles, and the paddles move. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but as paleontologists, as researchers, we hypothesize using scientific data, biomechanics, and things like that, modern principles that we can apply to data that we gather. So front paddles move independently of the rear paddles, and it's through that movement that they're propelled forward in the water. Their bodies are streamlined, which helps that. And there's a couple of different researchers working on a couple of different theories. Certainly more research is needed into it to help us determine, but these creatures were essentially streamlined, having 2 paddles at the front and the back that moved independently, sort of gliding through the water. There's comparisons made between, say, how a penguin moves through the water.
Of course, yes. Which is an interesting, isn't it? Because a penguin, like a reptile, is an animal that kind of, its ancestors were living in the sea. It popped out, and then it's kind of gone back. And so interesting that, I mean, an alternative interesting one is, of course, is the iguanas, the marine iguanas in the Galapagos, and they seem to, but then they don't have flippers. They haven't got that point of flipper evolution, have they?
Put beside their body and streamlined, and they move with the tails. There's a whole field of comparative anatomy which you can use to help interpret the fossils. You can help. It helps you if you can understand a modern animal, you can apply those principles to the ancient animals, or even not necessarily ancient, but more recent ancient animals. And that's a good example. Another one perhaps is a comparison between a ichthyosaur and a dolphin. So a dolphin's got the 2 flippers at the front, whereas the ichthyosaur's got the 4 flippers, but the dolphin also uses its tail to help move it through the water, as does the ichthyosaur.
Okay, now the other question that I was asked, somebody wanted to know, because we always get these sorts of questions: what's the fastest? What's the smallest? What's the marine reptiles? What's the biggest we found in Australia to start with?
So the biggest marine reptile by far in Australia is the Kronosaurus. It's the apex predator of the inland sea. We like to joke it's the reason that T-Rex can go swimming. Not that we found T-Rexes in Australia yet, but it's a...
Understood.
Yeah. So it could be perhaps up to 15 metres long. Its skull was 3 metres long, and it had teeth, including the roots, that were bigger than the biggest Cavendish bananas that you can find at the shops. They're pretty huge teeth. And it had this big giant bite force. Dr. McHenry has done a lot of research into the bite force of this. I personally, in my study for the Kronosaurus skull anatomy, I've made comparisons with the crocodile, the saltwater crocodile in particular. The next sort of level down from a size would be perhaps the elasmosaurs. These creatures could be, I suppose, perhaps 15 to 20 metres long as well, but they've got a really long neck and a small head. One of the fossils that we've got, we've only ever found one elasmosaur skull in Australia. That was found just 50 kilometres to the west of here in a little tiny locality called Maxwellton. And the original, or the fossil itself, lives down in the Queensland Museum in the type room. But we have a cast of this specimen, which is really special, and it's perhaps about this long. So you imagine a creature with a body that's 15 to 20 metres long with a skull bone structure that is that long. It's pretty specialised at finding fish. Its teeth were quite slender. They weren't designed. They were designed to eat fish.
Yeah, and we see in like Loch Ness monster things, they've got their heads out of the ocean like that. Could they do that, or was it more serpent-like in the way that they moved their necks?
We've got no evidence either way that it could actually get its head out of the water. But again, biomechanics and researchers have suggested that there wasn't a great deal of flexibility in that neck, but it would move along like a serpent, as you've suggested.